So do you think like when Druski goes out there and he does that whole skit that's gone viral? It's funny. Where he's the British guy. He goes out there. And does that kind of add fuel to the fire?
What's your next movie? Yo, do you think your British accent gets you all the black bros in America?
Come on, bro. Are you serious, bro?
Do you think you're better than them?
Better than who, bro? Black people.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Coleman is built different. Ryan is built different. There are people, Idris Elba is built different in relation to actually getting stuff made. Now, if you're going to begrudge that, rather than go, let me reach out and figure out what are Nate and David doing over there, and how do we? What is this diaspora embracing notion that you guys are talking about, as opposed to me now beginning to internalize some kind of ridiculous what do they call ADOS or whatever?
That's
like my
additional black.
but it proliferates.
So yeah, I saw an interesting video today that seems to be a direct result of the conversation that we've been having on this channel around the Druski British actor sketch. And I knew the conversation would get under some people's skin, and I knew that it would be a conversation starter. It was my intent to put the conversation out there in a way to see who would actually address the issue. Because that's what's really important here, is not passing by this issue or dismissing people. David Oyelowo, you might know him from playing Martin Luther King in the film Selma, a Nigerian British actor who has taken up the mantle to address this conversation head on. And I want to hear what he has to say about it. Shout out to the brother.
Well, we started this conversation talking about Yoruba and Igbo and that fissure, that conflict. I'm a product of a Yoruba man and an Igbo woman coming together, and they didn't bring me up with all of that trauma and dysfunction and hatred. They brought me up in love. And this narrative around the silos that we inhabit as black people, these black British actors coming to take our roles, these, how African Americans feel like that. In the UK, a lot of the kids who bullied me were West Indian kids. So there was a West Indian, West African thing, and everything.
Make no mistake about it, this is not bullying. Simply pointing out an obvious distinction and telling you, expressing to you how we see it from our perspective could never be bullying. And as I said in the other video, if you go back and watch it, nothing against these guys. These guys are very talented in their own right. But we have to ask the question, when so many black American roles that are culturally specific are being played by British actors, and there's no attempt, there's no actor near in sight that could play that role that is black American, it's concerning. There's an issue.
In my opinion, that has kept black people back from the ascent that we are worthy of has been this: Hutus, Tutsis, Igbos, Yorubas,
Rwanda,
black Brits, African Americans. Ultimately, for me, we all want the same thing.
Period.
We all want to be front and center of our own lives, afforded the opportunity to scale and not fail.
Ooh, right
And if we link arms like Jewish people do, like Chinese people do,
hell yeah.
like if we do that rather than fixating on the fact that, yeah, we have a smaller piece of the pie, we do. And as a result, when a black Brit gets that role, what we're talking about is not acting. We're not talking about the art of acting. We're talking about scarcity. We're talking about the fact that there's not much pie. So when someone gets it, it's like, you're now taking a piece that makes me feel like I can't access that piece.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that with white British actors in the Hollywood constellation, because the pie is vast.
So he does bring up a good point about scarcity, and that's very true. But what my main focus was when doing that video was to examine the fact that when these British actors are given these opportunities, are they then reaching out to Black Americans as if we are one people, you know, because I don't necessarily see that happen. He brings up some good points of David Oyelowo actually making those moves to put some people in position. Okay, but writ large, is that the message that everybody comes over here with? And I would say absolutely not. Some people that's like, I got mine, you got yours to get. And that weakens our position because traditionally, historically, you played Martin Luther King. The Black actors that were popular during that time paid for the podium that Dr. King spoke at the March on Washington. Put that into your historical context, because a lot of people like to divorce the job versus the politics. And unfortunately, I don't think you can do that. Not in the same way, and get the same support.
So do you think like when Druski goes out there and he does that whole skit that's gone viral? It's funny. Where he's the British guy, he goes out there. And does that kind of add fuel to the fire?
What's your next movie? Yo, do you think your British accent gets you all the black bros in America?
Come on, bro. Are you serious, bro?
Do you think you're better than them?
Better than who, bro? Black people.
Yeah.
Stop.
Because, I mean, it's a thing. You're starting to hear more and more of it.
Yeah.
And it's why we started 154. Like, it's to bring all of it. It's one continent, 54 countries, but really it's bigger. It's one diaspora that's centered around who we are as people. But yet there's these micro fractures of, but they're from the UK, or they're from, they're immigrants from Africa.
Yeah. My thing is, I have adopted the stance of I have to let my work do the talking. There's many things in the world that I don't like, that I don't agree with, but my answer to that,
to the Druski
thing, is to start a streaming platform with an African American like Nate Parker, and for us to build something from a global perspective that is for African Americans, is for South Americans, it's for Black people in the diaspora, it's for people on the continent, it's for all of us.
Sounds good in theory. Now, I've noticed that they've built this site, and it's kind of interesting because after Nate Parker does Birth of the Nation, he almost gets shut out entirely of Hollywood. Haven't seen him, haven't heard of him, but he's working behind the scenes with David to do this streaming service, that sort of a Netflix. But I'm pretty sure none of you all have heard of it. It's called Mansa, like as in Mansa Musa. So Mansa is their platform. It's a great idea. Many people have thought of it. They actually executed on it. They put their love of cinema and acting and merged it with technology. Great idea. This is something we need to be doing for sure. But I would say, is there a way that you could advocate for your brother, Nate Parker, to be back in Hollywood in the way he was, on the trajectory that he was in?
Look like
as we call it, a tent, we call it an umbrella, we call it a table that we're inviting everyone to. The best things that I've done with my career have been.
And also, when they speak about this 154 and they're talking about the Pan-Africanness of it, I don't watch every episode, but have they had any Black Americans on there? It seems to be interviews with Africans and people in the diaspora other than Black American, as if not necessarily included, or maybe they're just working that all out, to have more representation in that way. But it seems like it muddies the message when you say that this is all encompassing of a podcast and it's just really for continental Africans and their descendants.
Collaborations between me, for instance, I brought Ava onto Selma. People say, why did she cast him? I fought for her to be in that movie, to direct that movie, and then Oprah fought for both of us to get that movie made. When we did Bass Reeves, because the narrative around, are Black Brits better trained or whatever?
Yeah.
When we were doing Bass Reeves, there were names that they wanted to have in that show.
Yeah.
But and I'm not going to take all the credit for this, but I fought hard for this. Yeah. Lauren E. Banks, who plays my wife, Yale. Grantham Coleman, Juilliard. Joaquina Calacango, Juilliard. When we were doing that show, I wanted to create a show where you have the best of us that haven't yet populated the pipeline.
Good, very good. But that being said, is that something that anybody other than you could do? Like, why aren't these people working all the time? We always hear about people trained in London, at the top tier schools. Why isn't the same thing respected from Black Americans? You have to almost make an effort, a separate effort to get these people. As someone who went to a top tier institution, I can tell you there are so many people that are talented, but I know there's a lot of people that did go to those schools that aren't necessarily getting the opportunities that he's talking about here.
People who, like Demi Singleton, Lonnie Chavis played the lead in the film I directed, The Waterman. You know, he was in This Is Us. And then I put him center of my movie. African-American, Demi Singleton, African-American. When we were doing Selma, I saw Lakeith Stanfield in a small film called Short Term 12. I went to Ava and said, this guy.
Yeah, Lakeith.
That was Lakeith's big film after Selma was, after Short Term 12. I saw Stefan James.
I'd like to hear Lakeith's telling of that story. I don't know. I think Lakeith had been making some noise before then. Was David the piece that got you in position to have the career that Lakeith Stanfield has had? I wonder.
I saw Stefan James in a trailer for some football movie when I was in the movies. I went, that guy for John Lewis. That's who we need for John Lewis. Tessa Thompson came and auditioned to play Coretta as Scott King, which Carmen Ejogo ended up playing. But Ava and I went, whoa.
Including everybody.
You know, we brought her in for Diane Nash. That's what happens when you collaborate rather than be focused on separation.
Right.
And so I think it's funny, that skit. Do I think it's helpful? I don't think it's helpful. But my answer to it is to continue to collaborate. Is to continue to demonstrate that actually, and it sounds corny.
I think it's brilliant because it sparked me to do a video. It sparked you to have this conversation about this. Because when have we ever heard a Black British actor talk about the contributions he's made to uplift Black American actors? This is the first time. And that's why I said I'd like to hear the whole story and everybody's side of the story, because a lot of people have lip service and they say that they do all these great things, but sometimes that doesn't match up with the truth. And sometimes there are people that are like, hey, I don't want anything to do with it. I'm just here to do a job, bruv. And then go back to London and hopefully get something with my newfound American success and fame.
But we are way, way, way better and way, way, way more powerful together than we are apart. And
I agree.
I truly think so much of that mindset is born out of insecurity. You never see them coming after a Brit playing that kind of role when it's a failure.
Really? No, I don't think that's necessarily true, because a lot of times people see those movies that are a failure and they think, I wonder what that would have been with an American, a Black American that really lived that experience, that it's genetically tied to that experience.
It's only when it's a success. If there's box office and if there's awards, then is the time.
Those are just the ones you hear about.
I want a piece of that. Well, let's collaborate. So that's why I get everyone to the house. Where we have those conversations. Andre Holland, brilliant actor, trained. Coleman Domingo, brilliant. I've seen that dude on stage.
Coleman.
The success he's being afforded is absolutely warranted. It's the work. And these are my friends. These are the people I am constantly in collaboration with. African-American, Black Brits. Now I'm really focused on Nigeria. Like this film we just took to Cannes, Clarissa.
Clarissa, yes.
Clarissa is like Sophie Okonedo, Ayo Edebiri, who's grown up here, Tohib Jimo, Jude Akwadike, Danny Sapani, who's Ghanaian, the amazing.
You hear how much more passionate he sounds about talking about the projects he's done in Nigeria, this Clarissa project. It's a noticeable difference. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't care about your people more, but why should we care about our people less? If you belong to an ethnic group in Africa, why is it so hard for people to understand that Black Americans have an ethnic group here in America. We're supposed to be always, I don't know, we're supposed to always be malleable and somehow fit into your construct of what it is. When you don't understand that what we have going on here is something totally different. But if we do it, we're called divisive. If we do it, we're called hating. And they're going to talk about that later in this, which I thought was a little disturbing for all my FBA, ADOS people out here. No matter what set you claim, this panel here with Godfrey and I forget his co-host's name, and David, they're going to make some statements about our lineage. They're quite disturbing.
The amazing girl from Queen Charlotte. You know, like, we are from all over the place. It was the first time we were all in Nigeria together doing a film. Like Nikki Amuka Bird, who hadn't gone back since she was 5.
Is that when you were out in December?
Yeah, that's why I was in Nigeria. We were shooting Clarissa. Just took it to Cannes. 800 people.
Big.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Amazing response. You know, two twin brothers, Nigerian brothers who directed that film. All the money raised in Nigeria. It's now being distributed by Neon. That's what happens.
That's right.
When we collaborate
together.
When we collaborate. So I don't subscribe.
Godfrey looks tired.
I said, what Druski did was funny, but it's, to me, it's not true. It's not my lived experience.
Right, yeah.
My lived experience is doing 3 films back to back with Coleman Domingo, is doing Lincoln with him, is doing The Butler with him, and then doing Selma with him, and learning from him. You know, is working with Andre Holland. Andre and I sitting down in a restaurant, and he's going through what he's going through, and we are sharing tricks. How did you get your stuff made? And I'm sharing that with him. I'm now seeing him producing stuff, and that's the collaboration of a guy who was born in the UK of Nigerian descent. Now with this guy who's from Alabama, and that's what
unity.
success.
Shout out to Best Month.
That's where everyone gets to eat.
Yeah, it's
Now, in theory, this sounds great. I'm with you all the way, 100%. You, David Oyelowo, and Andre Holland, an American, UK working together, we all eating. But we got to make sure that we all eating. We got to make sure that that person, that it's not just Andre. Andre's already established in a lot of ways. I know now he's moved into producing, as well as acting in his films. But we got to understand, like, we should be nurturing many, many people because it will also further our careers. We should be nurturing the next generation of directors. I don't think people realize, you know, people take YouTube for a joke in Hollywood, but right now, 2 of the top movies in Hollywood, top box office grossing, are directed and written by YouTubers. So yeah, that changes things. So instead of having an insular conversation, it should be more inclusive. I like the idea of him actually working with Nigerian twins to put together a Nigerian super project with all these actors that have Nigerian heritage or other African heritage. That is a good idea. That's great in theory. But I'm saying, like, we've got to be culturally aware, culturally sensitive about what's happening here and how we're being played against each other in a way.
It's man, because we're so damaged from African Americans, because us growing up in America, to Africans, to Caribbeans, just colonialism. It's the supremacy, man.
Yes.
That has trickled down and ruined us.
Yes.
From colorism.
Yes.
To hair grade.
There's a design.
It's designed.
Yeah.
Because we're all we got.
Yeah.
And Dr. Henry Clark, the elder who I studied in college, I was very militant in college, but he said, we don't have any friends.
Right.
And it's facts, we don't have them.
Right.
So, and even when I would go see Minister Farrakhan, and you know, I'd go see them live. I'm 18 years old, just going to see. But he would say, he goes, if we learn to pull our money together, all this division.
Yes.
And it's the truth, man.
Yes.
We're all we have, man.
And we're all we need.
Thank my man.
And we're all we need. That is real. Like the thing about Clarissa, the fact that we raised that money in Nigeria. Nigeria is rich beyond measure.
Thank you.
Like if we just went there where they value us, if these
$1 from each Nigerian.
Right.
No,
Right.
and I'll
Just
tell you that because,
it's a wrap,
the very first time I ever EP'd a movie was with my good friend Nnamdi Asamoah.
Yeah.
And he did Sylvie's Love with Tessa Thompson.
Great film.
I saw
Great
Nnamdi
film.
in Soldier's Play.
Yeah, and Soldier's Play.
David Allen Greer.
David Allen Greer.
Yeah.
And, I EP'd, that movie.
You EP'd that?
Yes, I did. Yeah. with
Eugene Ash directed that, right?
Gene Ash,
Who was at the house.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But no, it was, to me, it's just like to be able to invest in, and I
It was a
didn't
good
know
movie.
that world. It can be very scary at high dollar amounts.
Yeah.
But you go, hey, I believe in you. This guy, not only a friend, former teammate, but it's like, I believe in you. And you look at the movie and looking at the process, or if it's like his other movie, EP Knife, and going, but this is what it's supposed to be like. You know what I mean? It's like you're supposed to invest and create that system to where, he can feel comfortable going, hey, I can depend on you. Can I count on you? Can I count on you? And we're all in. You know what I mean? Like, that's what, to me,
But we got to be
culture,
inclusive. You got to,
because it happens, but we just have
to be inclusive.
We have to share it more, because I even keep that kind of information.
Because we are used to going, oh, I got it, pull up the ladder.
Right.
We have to include.
Right.
It's the same thing in the comedy and acting / people won't tell you about stuff.
I go back to the chitlins. Like, if you're getting...
Oh, they cut Godfrey off in that moment. He was really telling the truth about what happens. That is exactly what happens. People pull up the ladder to success once they reach a certain level. And that has been the tragic flaw of black entertainers in this country. Selfishness. What David's about to say right now is kind of insane.
Comedy and acting / people won't tell you about stuff.
I go back to the chitlins. Like, if you're getting some kind of sense of self from complaining about these people coming to take from you, for a moment, it feels good. You've scratched an itch of, and you have community around, these, but actually, what does that buy you?
Yeah.
Doesn't buy you anything.
Yeah.
If there is, let's just entertain for a moment that these folks coming from the UK who are looking to tell these stories that are British, that are African, that are American, let's just say they have something that them plus you equals one can only imagine.
But the problem is, they don't want to play just British or African or American stories. A lot of times they just play American stories. They make their career on playing American stories. If we're honest, that seems to be the majority of the work that they're doing. And we have to ask the question that if this is your bread and butter, the American audience, how can you then say that you're being equal? If we're not participating in anything that you're doing, but you're in everything representing us culturally, then how could you say that? How could you say that it's equal or that you want to share in this?
When you look at Black Panther, it is Chadwick and it is Michael B, but it's also Daniel Kaluuya and Letitia Wright.
That's right.
That's what it looks like when it goes supernova.
Yeah.
Ryan understands that. Ryan Coogler called me before he was about to make a Black Panther, because he knew I had connection to the culture that he was about to show in his film. And he humbly asked advice, because he needed me, I need him, Michael the same. Like I was with Michael the other day. Those of us who get it, we are sharing in the way that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and Casey Affleck and George Clooney and Brad Pitt. You think that success is based on them being silos? Absolutely not. They are.
Just because people raise alarm or share criticism about a thing does not mean they're siloing off. It just means that there's something there to talk about that maybe you don't want to talk about because it's uncomfortable. That's kind of the problem I'm having with his argument here.
Sharing secrets, they are sharing strategy, they are sharing films with each other, which is what I tried to do with Bass Reeves, bringing in people who are like, you don't know them, but I do.
No.
Now, if you are telling me that how dare I spend 10 years trying to get Bass Reeves made? How dare I bring Ava DuVernay to come in and direct Selma and get that film? If that's what you're saying, think about that for a moment. Just think about what may not exist if you don't have people who are, dare I say it, built different. Like Ava is built different.
But there were several other movies based on Basri's life that were in development at the same time. But your status as a British American talent with access, you were able to get yours to a larger audience. And I heard some of those other versions were great. An American hero. So I mean, just think about that. Like, is it right to take all these opportunities away from somebody that might be developing the same type of project? I know it's competition at the end of the day, but if you're gonna talk about this altruistic way of thinking and inclusion, then you have to really look at it holistically and see where everybody is coming from perspective-wise, and not just say we're siloing off or hating.
Coleman is built different. Ryan is built different. There are people, Idris Elba is built different in relation to actually getting stuff made. Now, if you're gonna begrudge that, rather than go, let me reach out and figure out what are Nate and David doing over there, and how do we? What is this diaspora embracing notion that you guys are talking about, as opposed to me now beginning to internalize some kind of ridiculous what do they call ADOS or whatever?
That's
like my
additional black.
but it proliferates.
See how dismissive they were of that? And see, this is part of the problem. This is part of the problem why we can't have that conversation. We can't have these conversations because one side sees themselves as superior. That what Godfrey just did, that's not gonna fly. You can't say that somebody that made an adult decision that they want to celebrate their lineage, you can't blow it off as if it doesn't matter. That's part of the problem. There's so much talking down about this. And just because things have been one way for a long period of time, how do you think things change? They don't change by staying the same. They change by friction. They change by conflict in some ways. So don't just blow it off when you say, FBA, ADOS. Yeah, that's part of the problem.
Now beginning to internalize some kind of ridiculous, what do they call ADOS or whatever?
That's
like my
additional black.
but it proliferates.
Yeah, it does.
It proliferates. You look at what is happening with nationalism, you know, the rise of the Reform Party in the UK. You look at why we have some of the political circumstances we have here in America. It starts like this. It starts with people feeling empowered and gathering around negativity that gives them some kind of identity.
But it's only negativity to somebody who's resistant to it. This is the thing. If you all embraced the fact that people were searching for identity and actually finding something, instead of blowing it off because it's unfamiliar to you, because I'm going to tell you, every 5 years we learn that there are some people that say things online that are ahead of their times, and you don't understand them yet. They're not commonplace yet, but then they become mainstream and they become normal, and you change your tune entirely. You have to change your tune because that's just the way things are. But anyway, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification for all uploads. If you want to watch more, please watch one of these videos down below. Make sure you hype this video. When you hype this video, it helps push it in the algorithm and helps us get out to a larger audience so we can reach some people in our quest. Anyway, this is Faucette Media.